Oh, what's up, everybody? My name is OMG, WTF, LOL, FTW, BRB. Welcome back to more WWE versus TEW, the weekly series where we take the events and shows that the WWE runs, book them in the game, and see just how well the WWE does against TEW, or if Total Extreme Wrestling will be the company that brings WWE down to its knees. Today we are booking Extreme Rules 2018, and this will be Take 3. This is my third attempt trying to record this pay-per-view. First time, they're both booking reasons. First time I messed up and I accidentally booked Braun Strowman to take that huge bump off the steel cage other than Kevin Owens, so I had to go and change that. And then the final, or I guess the second attempt, happened right at the end of the pay-per-view as well. In the 30-minute Iron Man match, I put the wrong person over, so this would be the third attempt, and it has been quite a few days after I've seen this pay-per-view, so I'm going to have to apologize if I don't remember as much as I would have in the first two attempts. I also would like to apologize if we're behind for a little while here after I actually get this uploaded, because I still gotta watch Raw, SmackDown, 205 Live, and then probably next week, so we might be a little behind like we were in the beginning of the series. Nonetheless, pre-show bout, we have two of them. In our first pre-show match, an bout that had subpar wrestling, little heat to it, Andrade Cien Almas goes over Sin Cara in 8 minutes 13 seconds with La Sombra. He hit him with the Hammerlock DDT, not La Sombra, so I think I gotta go and change out his moveset, but does it really matter? This match, it was enjoyable. Nothing really too crazy going on here. They pretty much just rehashed exactly what they did on SmackDown, which makes me wonder why this was even a match. I don't even think it was announced. It was just, hey, we did it on SmackDown, we're going to do it here. But nonetheless, Sin Cara, once again, looked really good in this match. I don't know if it's because he and Andrade have some good chemistry. Naughty, would you stop moving your bell? Anyway, I don't know if it's because they have good chemistry, if they work similar styles, but nonetheless, Sin Cara has never looked better when he's ever had a match against Andrade. So 48D plus for the match. Sin Cara with a 39, Andrade with the 54, so it's good to see that, I don't know what his popularity is, but I don't think it's a 54, so he's performing way above his popularity, I would think. No worker improvements here. Of course, we already knew about the good pairing that Selena Vega and Andrade Cien are not only in real life, but in this game. We then move on to the main event of the pre-show, 56 C-. I would say that this match was better than 2 is given it credit for, although as enjoyable as it was, there was quite a lot of spots that, it's just spots, it's not a negative thing. I just don't know how else to describe it. It's just they were good spots. You had Kofi Kingston doing like some double stomp thing off the shoulders of Big E and Xavier with like Eric Young and Alexander Wolf hanging there. That's really the main spot I can remember. Like I said, it's been a couple of days, so I apologize for that, but that was like the one spot that stuck out to my head, because I was like, what the heck? Oh, here's something in the Sin Cara match I forgot. They tried to do like a Hurricanrana, but it was like super botched. I had to like rewind it a couple of times because I kept trying to figure out what exactly went wrong there, because everything looked right. It just looked like something happened, and I wasn't sure if Andrade just didn't catch him, or, Sin Cara was too far out, and it looks like Sin Cara was too far out. But nonetheless, this matchup ends when Alexander Wolf and Kofi Kingston are brawling. Kingston is hanging off the apron. Eric Young takes advantage of this, and he puts him through the table himself. So Sanity does go over the New Day in a table match that also went 7 minutes 52 seconds. Andrade's match and the New Day's match was similar. They were both similar time limits. They were both around 8 minutes, and I feel like that's kind of the one negative to this match, because this match could have really benefited with probably a little bit more time, and it honestly deserved to probably be on the pay-per-view more than like a Finn Balor versus Constable Baron Corbin match or something like that. Nonetheless, though, Killian Dane is getting better at his gimmick. Kofi Kingston with an in-ring performance of a 68, the best of everybody in this matchup. Big E had a 59, Xavier Woods with a 60, Killian Dane with a 44, Alexander Wolf with a 38, so he was the weakest of the match, and Eric Young with the 43. And it's kind of interesting to me because every time I've recorded this, Killian Dane has always been 1 point better than Eric Young, so it makes me wonder, is Killian Dane getting over more than Eric Young is right now? Because if mostly me rating him on menace because, well, he's kind of more the menacing member of the group. Kofi Kingston is improving in performance, so good for him. The one veteran wrestler here, I mean, I guess you can call Eric Young a veteran, but Kofi's like the WWE veteran, but he's the one improving here, so I guess that's good for him. So we open up Extreme Rules with a 50 D+ rating, just the cold open for Extreme Rules, hyping up the matches that we will see tonight. WWE chose to highlight 4 main feuds, which is awesome because I can only feature 8 people and an angle. That's something I feel like they should change if they ever do like 219 or whatever. Up it up to maybe like 10 or I don't know, maybe even 15 if we're going to get crazy. Because angles usually consist of a lot of people, you know? So nonetheless, we just highlighted the Roman Reigns, Bobby Lashley feud, Carmella, Asuka feud, Braun Strowman's and Kevin Owens feud, and Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax feud. First match of the night gets a 53 C- rating here. The B Team goes over to the Leaders of Worlds. Surprise, surprise, shock of the night. B Team upsetting the Tag Team Champions and becoming the Raw Tag Team Champions in the process. This was a good opening match, back and forth action. I enjoyed it. I liked the tease between Bray Wyatt and Bo Dallas in the beginning, although it was kind of a little bit of a letdown as when they actually did brawl, we didn't get like a little bit more of a hype for it. It just kind of happened. Like they didn't like show them squaring off or anything. So I kind of fault whoever, you know, booking or road agent as the match of this because we highlighted it in the beginning, but you don't highlight it once again when they can brawl. You know, just so when they did fight, it just kind of felt pointless. Like, oh, here they're just fighting. Nonetheless, though, the shock of the night, in my opinion, the B Team, Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel, going over Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt. He didn't beat him with the Bodog. He hit him with like the inverted neck breaker from like the top rope or whatever as he hung him from there. But Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy were getting ready to hit the kiss of deletion. Can I talk? The kiss of deletion on Bo Dallas, but Bray saw Curtis Axel coming in, so he went after Curtis, taking him out, which led to Bo pushing Matt off of him, pushing Bray out of the ring, and then he hit the inverted neck breaker to win the Raw Tag Team Championships. Curtis Axel with an in-ring performance of a 48, Bo Dallas with a 42, the weakest of the match, Bray Wyatt with a 65, the best of the match, and Matt Hardy with a 58 in-ring performance. So big congrats to the B Team. They went from being just a jobber team, pretty much supporting The Miz and taking the heat for him, to now being Raw Tag Champs. It'll be interesting to see where this goes in the future. I don't imagine it going on too long, but you know what? It's a nice gesture for them, you know? Good for them. 65. I almost said 66. 65 solid C rating as Charlie Caruso interviews the B Team after the match. They are excited. They are ecstatic. They can't believe what's just happened. They are speechless. Curtis Axel at one point says this is the greatest thing that's happened ever since Stretch Armstrong landed on the moon. That's great stuff. Great comedy on Curtis Axel's part. If you're not aware, Stretch Armstrong isn't a real astronaut. If you're confusing him with Neil Armstrong, I can kind of understand. But Stretch Armstrong, I believe, is like a toy or just some 80s reference or something like that. Good stuff on the B Team's part. No worker improvements, though. 75 B- as Kurt Angle has apparently requested this time with Renee Young, as he has to... what am I going to say? He has an ultimatum to give to Brock Lesnar here. Brock Lesnar has refused to pretty much show up to Raw when he went to go on and put on this multi-man tag match that was going to take place here tonight on Extreme Rules. Lesnar wasn't down for it, so Kurt's pretty much tired of it, and he says, and frankly, you know, the entire WWE Universe is tired of it, and I'm going to give Brock Lesnar an ultimatum. You can either show up on Raw tomorrow and we can discuss your next title defense, or I'm stripping you of the Universal Championship. So that goes ahead and starts a new storyline of will Brock Lesnar shows up. That'll most likely evolve into whoever goes on to face Brock Lesnar. But good stuff there on Kurt Angle's part. 61, solid C rating here as we have a decent matchup as Finn Balor goes over the Constable, Baron Corbin, in 9 minutes, 49 seconds with a quick cradle. This match was pretty much all Baron Corbin. Corbin was dominating Balor. I'd say he probably got 90% of the offense, with Balor getting a few big moves in here and there. It plays up to the story because of, Corbin saying that Balor is just a little man, and that's why he doesn't, win matches. That's why he doesn't get what he wants, or pretty much. And it played up to that story here because Corbin, being the big man, was dominating Balor, and Balor had to pretty much squeeze a victory, or slide a victory out of his I don't know where I'm going with that. That's a weird analogy I'm trying to say. I don't want it to sound too perverted or whatever I'm going on there. Nonetheless, Balor picks up the quick win. Golly, I'm all over the place tonight. And shocks the Constable with a quick cradle here. And I imagine this feud will go forward with Corbin possibly complaining how he should have won that match, and Balor just squeezed by pretty much. Finn Balor with a in-ring performance of a 66. Constable Baron Corbin with a 52. 68 C+ as we get a backstage brawl between Team Hell No and the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Bludgeon Brothers, as the Bludgeons are battling Daniel Bryan and Kane, beating them down. And at one point, they put Kane's ankle in between the door and the wall. Get off of my laptop, Donnie. What the heck? Look what you just did. I ain't never seen him do that before. Anyway, they put Kane's ankle in between the door. They smash it with their big hammer or mallet or whatever you want to call it. And Kane's ankle's pretty much shattered. And that's going to affect the match later on tonight because... well, how are you going to go in there with the shattered ankle, you big red machine? Although, as Wrestling with Regret pointing this out, and I might have a little bit of an influence from Wrestling with Regret now that I have watched his review on it. I try to save off, that way I can, develop my own opinions and it doesn't sound too similar to his. But he did point out how a little while back, Kane, put his, ankle or whatever back into place in a match against, Seth Rollins, or as he was heading onto the ring, and I thought that was funny considering now how he has this ankle. Nonetheless, Paige comes in, calls for the paramedics, and we'll see what happens, pretty much. Gained heat for the feud, so I guess that's good, getting some last-minute heat for the feud as we head into it soon. 37 D- as we get the video package for Carmella versus Asuka. We then jump into the match, which is supposed to be a shark cage match, technically, but there is no such thing as a shark cage match in Total Extreme Wrestling, at least to my knowledge. So we'd had to improvise. This is just practically a one-on-one match with a lot of interference from Asuka. But this isn't really much of a match, if you can really call it that, as much as just a entertainment squabble, I guess, or whatever. I, for one, enjoyed this. A lot of people seem to have hated it. I know for a fact that Wrestling with Regret ended up not liking this match. He had a lot of critiques to where you can obviously see the harness and all that. I'll be honest, I didn't put much thought into that. When I saw the harness under James Ellsworth's shirt, I just really thought that's what he was using to hold all this stuff. The lockpick equipment that he would have to use. And I didn't really even notice the harness that was holding him with the bandana. Maybe I just thought it was funny to see him hanging upside down. I guess I suspended my disbelief. I don't know. I thought it was a fun little match here. I'm not going to say it was a good match because it wasn't. Carmella just pretty much got dominated by Asuka, with Ellsworth providing most of the distraction. But it was a good storytelling match, I would say, with, Ellsworth handing off the chain to Carmella early and Asuka cutting it off, and then of course the spray, which Asuka beats up Carmella before she can use it. He then using the lockpick to get himself out. He hangs like a piñata from the steel cage. Asuka beating him like a piñata with her legs, and then of course Carmella sneaking in, pushing Asuka into the steel cage. She goes face first, 1, 2, 3. Carmella picks up the second pin ever on Asuka, and is still the only person ever to pin Asuka. Remember, Charlotte made her tap out, so that's practically the entire match. It's been a couple of days, and I still remember exactly what happened there. Like I said, I kind of enjoyed this match, but I will admit, it wasn't really much of a match. Carmella makes her third defense of the SmackDown Women's Championship. Ellsworth doing some good work ringside. This did cool the crowd a little bit, but Asuka with an in-ring performance of 44, and look at Carmella moving up in the world with a 41 in-ring performance. I think that's the best out of all the recordings I did. So good for Carmella. 37 D-. Carmella's out of the ring. She's happy she won already. This leaves James Ellsworth alone with Asuka. Asuka takes advantage of this moment and beats down on Jimmy James. Lost heat for the feud. That's unfortunate, but who knows? Maybe the feud's over anyway. 43 Solid D as we get kind of a recap of what's happened so far in Extreme Rules, highlighting Sanity's win on the pre-show over the New Day, Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel, the B-Team's win over Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt to win the Raw Tag Team Championships, and then Finn Balor's win over the Constable Baron Corbin. 72 B- as we're getting ready for our WWE United States Championship matchup as Greg Hamilton introduces the challenger Shinsuke Nakamura and the champion Jeff Hardy. Jeff is getting better at his gimmick. And this will kind of be an interesting matchup here because it's not really much of a matchup. 56 C- rating for an extremely short match as Shinsuke Nakamura goes over Jeff Hardy in 1 minute 38 seconds. He does not use the ropes for leverage. I just put that tainted way in there because I guess kind of during the championship introductions or as the referee was showing off the belt, Nakamura took advantage of the moment and hit a low blow on Jeff Hardy when his back was turned. Jeff still agreed to do the match, which ended up being his downfall because right when the bell rang, Kinshasa and 1, 2, 3, Shinsuke Nakamura is the new United States champion. Nakamura with an in-ring performance of a 71. Jeff Hardy with a 63. This did lose heat for the United States Championship feud, but I'd imagine it's going to gain it back in the next angle here. Nakamura also improving in performance. As we jump into our next angle, I honestly thought this would do better. This is probably the worst out of all the recordings I did for this angle here. Is usually at least a B or a B-. Nonetheless, Randy Orton makes his shocking return. I've been asking where he was. Reveal yourself in the comments, whoever's watching from WWE, because you've got me convinced. I'm just joking, of course, but Randy Orton makes his shocking return. We haven't seen him in quite a long time. Nakamura doesn't even know what to do. He stands on the outside of the ring on top of the table while Randy Orton just kind of stares him down. And then he goes right after Jeff Hardy and stomps him right in the freaking balls. Like, good God, that looked ferocious. So I probably should have teased the heel turn. In fact, I had the opportunity to fix my remedies, obviously, 2 times here, and I keep forgetting to do it. But nonetheless, Randy Orton is back, and it looks like he will be feuding with Nakamura and Jeff Hardy, although I hear rumor has it that Jeff may be taking some time off to deal with some lower back pain. Nonetheless, this did gain some heat back to the United States Championship feud. There is no worker improvements. As we jump into a 69 C+ rating as we hype up the Braun Strowman-Kevin Owens feud with the video package, showing all the craziness that's happened for this feud that really didn't have a reason to be at all, but whatever. And then we jump into our steel cage match, 68 C+ rating here, and a superb match. Kevin Owens goes over Braun Strowman in a steel cage match in 9 minutes 11 seconds after he escaped the cage. We'll get to that in a moment. As I said earlier in the night, one of my first recordings was messed up because I made Braun Strowman take this huge stump bump, and yes, it was a stump bump because even though Kevin Owens was thrown from a top of a steel cage through an announce table, you can clearly see like there was an air mattress under the announce table to soften Kevin Owens' fall, so it was gimmicked up a little bit here. But I had Braun Strowman taking the fall instead of Kevin Owens, and while that was a botch on my part, it makes me just wonder, could you imagine someone the size of Braun Strowman, or even Braun Strowman himself, being tossed from that height through an announce table? That would be insane. Nonetheless, that is the reason why Kevin Owens won this match, because instead of winning, Braun Strowman decided to cause more pain on the Kevin Owens and toss him from the top of a steel cage. Kevin Owens did indeed take a stump bump. Braun Strowman had an in-ring performance of a 77. Kevin Owens 10 points below with a 67, and this did lose heat for the feud. Owens is improving in performance, though, so good on him. 75 B- rating afterwards as we see the EMTs all coming out to carry Kevin Owens out of the arena and check up on him. All the while, Braun Strowman just laughs at what he's done to Kevin Owens, gaining heat back to the feud as well. 81 solid B rating as we hype up the WWE Super Showdown that will be taking place in Australia. This kind of brings me to a question for some of you guys, which we're doing Super Showdown. We did the Greatest Royal Rumble. I didn't do the UK Championship Tournament or the UK whatever tournament because it's kind of like an NXT thing. A part of me feels like I should probably create an NXT brand on WWE. That way it can, a lot of the people down in NXT won't be upset that they're down in developmental doing nothing in their opinion. And I don't know, maybe it's just, it is a show that you can watch, so it is something we can bring on there. And then it also brings in with the tournaments, like I believe there's a Mae Young Classic coming up again, and we can do that as well. So my question to you guys is, the WWE versus Total Extreme Wrestling series is also already kind of intimidating with, doing Raw, SmackDown, 205 Live, and pay-per-views. Should we add more in there and make it even longer, adding more content, and really, I guess, being committed to what WWE really is themselves? And I guess that would mean we do have to do superstars and all that as well. Jesus. Or should we just leave it to what we have right now and move on with what we do? You guys let me know down in the comments down below. I won't make a move unless you guys tell me something. 64 solid C rating as we get a recap of Shinsuke Nakamura's United States Championship win and Randy Orton's return. 71 B- as we get a recap of the Bludgeon Brothers attack on Team Hell No earlier in the night when they took out Kane. We then get the Team Hell No versus Bludgeon Brothers video package. 54 C-. And then we have the SmackDown Tag Team Championship matchup. 67 C+ rating here. Team Hell No versus the Bludgeon Brothers. Daniel Bryan started off this match without Kane. He went in there alone, practically making it a 2-on-1 handicap match. Midway through, Kane came back in. And at one point, it looked like Team Hell No could pull out the victory. But with a nice take on the Doomsday device, when you see a Doomsday device, it's usually like a jumping clothesline, whereas this one with the Bludgeon Brothers, it looked like Harper, really like threw his arm back and like hit like a lariat instead of a clothesline. So I liked the way it looked. I thought it looked nice. They hit it on Daniel Bryan, and 1, 2, 3 Bludgeon Brothers retained the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. That attack did end up helping them because even though Kane did come back out, he was definitely wearing a foot brace or whatever you want to call it, and he was selling the injury. And from what I hear, apparently he was actually injured, and that's why this all happened. So that's kind of interesting. I just thought it was a storyline thing, so cool stuff. They did make their 4th defense of the SmackDown Tag titles, and as you can see, Kane was added midway through the match. Bryan and Kane have excellent chemistry. Daniel Bryan looked excellent out there with an in-ring performance of an 88, the best of the match. Kane with a 48, Harper with a 60, and Rowan with a 45, the weakest of the match. No worker improvements on there. 63 solid C as we see Roman Reigns heading to the entryway when he's kind of cut off by the B team, who are, hyping Roman up in their own way, telling them, like, you can join the B team too. All you got to do is beat Bobby Lashley, and Roman just kind of like gives them a look and pretty much declines as the B team is like, all right, whatever, that's cool, They do their whole, one of those things as well. But I like Bo Dallas's tease of him going, all you got to do is, Bo Lee, but instead of, doing Bo Lee, just beat Bobby Lashley and putting that emphasis on the B, So B team really getting a lot of airtime here tonight. So good on them. They've earned it. Video package for the Roman Reigns Bobby Lashley feud here. 61 solid C. This has been my favorite feud going forward so far. I've been very vocal about how I've enjoyed how this feud has been happening. But while a lot of people seem to enjoy this match, I believe it's because they went in with, low expectations, not expecting much. I was expecting this matchup to be kind of hard-hitting, fast-paced, more like an actual fight. Like, these two played it off like they can't stand each other and they hate each other, and they just want each other's spots, pretty much. Or I guess Bobby wants Roman's spot while Roman wants to defend his spot. And I was just expecting a fight. I was expecting these two to, it would just be a hard-hitting exchange. And I got more of a wrestling match, which I guess isn't a bad thing, but my expectations maybe were a little higher than it should have been for this match. And I was thinking we were going to get this really hard-hitting brawl, and we got more of a, like I said, a wrestling match with Superman punches and all this other stuff. Nonetheless, we go into the matchup here. 57 C-, probably a little bit better than that in retrospect. TEW lowballing it here. And about that had good wrestling and good heat and decent wrestling. Bobby Lashley does go over Roman Reigns in 16 minutes, 39 seconds with the spear. And again, I want to emphasize that even though I was expecting this to be kind of a hard-hitting exchange, it wasn't a bad match. I did enjoy for what it was. I mean, there was a lot of, hard-hitting spots still, with Bobby Lashley. Especially I love this spot, Roman Reigns is running around, going after Bobby, looking to probably spear him through the barricade like he always does, and Bobby just kind of catches him and does a belly-to-belly onto the announce table. You had the Superman punch off the top turnbuckle, which everyone hypes up, but I'm just kind of like, whatever. I believe we've seen that before. Bobby Lashley he was sweating in this match, though. Did you guys see that? Like, I mean, if you've ever seen him in Impact, he's always been like a real, like, heavy sweater, but good God, it's just like dripping off of this man. But nonetheless, Roman Reigns is coming at him full force with a spear, but Bobby cuts him off with his own spear to pick up the win. And I think that was a nice ending because the fact that both of them use the spear, and it's kind of showing off that not only is Bobby stronger than Roman Reigns, but his spear is, I guess, better than Roman Reigns as well. So you got that going for him. Bobby Lashley getting better at his gimmick. Roman Reigns with an in-ring performance of a 68. Bobby Lashley with a 55. No worker improvements, though. 77, solid B rating as we get a recap of Kurt Angle's ultimatum for Brock Lesnar. Show up to Raw or get your title taken away from you. 46, solid D rating as we get hyped for the Nia Jax Alexa Bliss video package here. And then we jump into the Raw Women's Championship, which gets a 36 D- here. Extreme Rules match for the Raw Women's Championship. And about that didn't have much weight in heat and terrible wrestling. Alexa Bliss goes over Nia Jax. I don't believe it was with a Sparkle Splash. I believe she hit like the DDT on the steel chair. 8 minutes, 38 seconds. A lot of interference in this matchup. Mickie James going after Nia Jax. We had Natalya and Ronda Rousey, who was ringside for the entire pay-per-view up until this point. They go after Alexa Bliss, but it was not to be because Alexa Bliss makes her first defense of the Raw Women's Championship. This match was just kind of a train wreck, if you ask me. Yeah, it really was just a lot of, like, interference for one part, so a lot of outside stuff. I guess, it's an Extreme Rules match, so it is allowed, but just the fact of the matter being, like, Nia seemed like she was moving way too quick, and she missed some of her spots, and Alexa Bliss as well. I mean, maybe a little too hesitant, or maybe she was just also moving way too quick, but she just wasn't really hitting her spots. Like, a lot of her moves just looked like really trashy, with her, like, chair shots and trash can shots and all that. Like, she was really holding back. And, for two women right now who are rumored to have heat with each other, they really held back, I would say. Nonetheless, like I said, Alexa Bliss wins with the DDT on the chair. This match was just, it happened. Natalya did some good work ringside, as did Mickie James. This did cool the crowd. Nia Jax had an in-ring performance of a 35, Alexa Bliss with a 37, and it did go ahead and lose heat for the feud here. No worker improvements as well. Nia Jax says she can perform better in hardcore-based matches, as does Alexa Bliss, so I guess that can be kind of a fault. But don't blame me. Blame WWE. They booked you guys in the match. We get hyped for SmackDown's, I guess, maybe main event. I don't know, a match that will be taking place on SmackDown. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm assuming it's going to be the main event since they're hyping it up here. United States Championship rematch as Jeff Hardy will face Shinsuke Nakamura. He's cashing in right away. 66 C+ as we get the video package for Rusev and AJ Styles. This is probably the best video package of the night. Again, I might sound a little bit like Wrestling with Regret here, but I did enjoy the whole calendar effect they did, highlighting all the different events, showing where Rusev's, what he's done to kind of get to this point. Great video package for a feud that's kind of like really hasn't had much heat to it at all, so I enjoyed it. Before we can get to the match, Aiden English comes out and announces to everybody that it's Rusev Day. Then we have that going on. Greg Hamilton's back for the championship introductions as he introduces the challenger Rusev and champion AJ Styles. And then we go into the match, 74 B-. I think this is our best match so far, and in my opinion, this was the best match of the night. Great back and forth action. It started out a little slow, which I for one enjoyed because, they're kind of feeling each other out, and then as it went on, we got a little bit more fast-paced action, back and forth. Rusev looked like he could win it at many times, despite, a lot of people, myself included, feeling that, there's no way Rusev's winning this. He's just going to, stop gate for whoever's next for AJ Styles. Nonetheless, this was my favorite match of the pay-per-view. Rusev and AJ Styles delivered. 74 B- rating here in a superb matchup. AJ Styles goes over Rusev in 18 minutes, 17 seconds with a top rope Styles clash. No, he did not. He hit the phenomenal forearm, but I'll get to that in a moment. Aiden English distracting the AJ Styles. He also accidentally, I guess, kind of hits Rusev. He doesn't really hit him. Nonetheless, Styles makes his fourth defense of the WWE Championship. So towards the end of the match, Aiden English, seeing Rusev might be, down for the count, or, he might be gassed. He pulls off the padding off one of the turnbuckles. And there was kind of a botch here as well, where AJ Styles, when he gets up, he rushes towards one of the corners, and he quickly realizes it's not a corner without the padding, so he rushes over to the one without padding. Rusev runs into it, and he goes face first into the corner without the padding on it, of course. So Styles almost picks up the victory there, but Rusev is able to kick out. AJ then takes advantage of this moment. He drop kicks Aiden English, or maybe does a baseball slide, I guess, more per se. Then he sets up for the phenomenal forearm, hits Rusev, 1, 2, 3. AJ Styles makes his fourth defense of the WWE Championship, at least in our save. This match got the crowd interested again. So, hey, that's good booking on WWE's part. They booked the match that is kind of the break match, and then they got the match that brings them back into it. And then Rusev with an in-ring performance of a 67. AJ Styles with an 83. Gained heat for the feud that most likely is going to end. Styles, even though he's like 40-something years old, is still improving, this time in performance skills. 58 C- as Charlie Caruso catches Seth Rollins on his way down to the ring. Gets a quick interview with him about Ziggler and Drew McIntyre, of course. This did lose heat for the feud, which is unfortunate. 74 B- rating as we get the Intercontinental Championship introduction as JoJo introduces the challenger Seth Rollins and the champion Dolph Ziggler. And then finally, we have the main event of the night, Intercontinental Championship on the line. 65 solid C rating here in a decent matchup. Dolph Ziggler goes over Seth Rollins in an Iron Man match in 33 minutes. Not by 2-1. That's not how it happened. Kurt Angle kind of distracted Ziggler, but I'll get to that in a moment. Drew McIntyre attacking Rollins. Nonetheless, Dolph Ziggler makes his second defense of the Intercontinental Championship here. So this was a 30-minute Iron Man match, but this went 33 minutes. That's because it kind of went into overtime. Originally, I was thinking about separating the two, but I figured a second match that only lasts about 3 minutes would bomb the show. So I figured I'd just combine it all together since it practically is. So the match starts off really fast-paced with us. I believe we got like 3 falls right out the bat in Seth Rollins' favor, 2 of him pinning Dolph Ziggler outright. The third one was Drew McIntyre running in and attacking Seth Rollins, beating down on him, leading to a DQ given to Dolph Ziggler. Ziggler ends up picking up the next 2 falls himself, tying it 3-3. I believe he gets the advantage at 4 at one point, and then Seth Rollins also gets 4 like later on, right towards the end, tying the match at 4-4 as we ended with a draw. Dolph Ziggler walks away a la Bret Hart back then in WrestleMania. Kurt Angle comes out. He announces that's not how we're ending the show. We're going to restart the match. Next fall wins. So Dolph Ziggler, he's upset. He goes back into the ring. Unlike the Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels situation, Seth Rollins isn't able to pull out the boyhood dream, as you would say, because Drew McIntyre comes back out and provides the distraction to Seth Rollins because, mind you, the match was technically restarted. So, that he's no longer banned like he was. And Dolph Ziggler hits the zigzag. 1, 2, 3. He gets the final pinfall and retains the Intercontinental Championship. Seth Rollins with an in-ring performance of a 69. Dolph Ziggler with a 55. And Ziggler is improving in performance skills, so good for him. And we end off the show, and what do we get? 69 C+ rating for the pay-per-view. Ooh. 69 C+ rating, but it lost its popularity in 23 regions. Really should have main evented with Styles and Rusev, I feel. Although that might not have helped, but good lord. That's no good. That's no good. All right, well, who are we gonna? Of course, we're gonna tell AJ Styles and Rusev they did good, but who had like the second best match? Was it the main event? Get out of here, Nani. No one asked your opinion. Nani, what a loser. I don't know. Yeah. Nothing else is really that great, so I guess what we'll do is we'll just, give it to Dolph as well, I guess. So AJ Styles complimented on a good performance. Rusev complimented on a good performance. And Dolph Ziggler I'm just going to give some encouragement to. So AJ Styles was pleased with our speech. Rusev seemed pleased, as did Dolph Ziggler. So all in all, I'd say it's pretty accurate for the entire pay-per-view overall. It wasn't a bad pay-per-view. It wasn't an amazing pay-per-view. It was a pretty average pay-per-view. There were some highlights out there. The B team winning the tag team championships, is a highlight and it's just in its all because not that the match was anything special, but the fact that they won the tag team championships, that's a shock in my opinion. That maybe forgotten about a little whiles away, but it's still a shock in my opinion that no one really expected. Rusev and AJ killed it. Dolph and Seth put on a good performance. Roman and Lashley, it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't a bad match. Still enjoyable. I'd recommend seeing it, especially for those who don't like Roman Reigns or don't like Bobby Lashley. So there's a lot of good in this pay-per-view, but there's also a lot of, I wouldn't say bad, but more meh. Like, of course, you got the Carmella Asuka thing, which a lot of people weren't into. I kind of was, but whatever. Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax, probably the worst thing on the card. Baron Corbin and Finn Balor, that was also just kind of meh. It was there. So it was, like I said, a decent pay-per-view, pretty average. Total Extreme Wrestling kind of hit the nail, I guess, the nail in the coffin, or whatever that catchphrase is. But I'm going to end the video off right here. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, do me a favor, leave me a comment, like, subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, don't forget to share this video with your friends, Facebooks, Twitters, Instagrams, all the social medias out there. I don't give a damn. If you feel it will help the channel, give it a share. In fact, if you feel you got a buddy out there who would enjoy my content, also give them a share. Help your boy get some new subscribers up in this bitch. I've got some of my buddies also. You can check them down below. ZachManziNVO over on Twitch. Very active. Streams about 2 hours every day. Wrestling games, Overwatch, Smite. He's doing it all, boys. And then you got Raging Yoshi over here on YouTube itself. He's starting some new Let's Plays, Cave Story, Kingdom Hearts 2.5. I think it's on like Proud Mode. He doing like some game I think called Tower Ascension or something with some of his friends. And then of course he's also doing some speed runs of Kingdom Hearts 1.5. So go ahead and check all that out. I will see you guys for Monday Night Raw once I go ahead and watch that. But until then, have a great day, guys.